If you're looking to improve your aim, then make sure to check out Control Freak and use the code OGXRAYZ to get 10% off all the products. Link in the description below.
Yo guys, it's XRAYZ and welcome back to another video. So yesterday I was able to take part in a special kind of Call of Duty roundtable, if you want to call it that, where we got to speak with developers, the main co-studio lead here for Infinity Ward, Patrick Kelly. We also had people from Raven Software, basically if they worked on Warzone or the next Call of Duty that's coming out in 2022, which was confirmed to be Modern Warfare 2, then they were there at that call and they were basically fielding questions, telling us what's coming here in Warzone, telling us about 2022 with the next Call of Duty from them and Warzone 2. So there was a lot. It was really, really cool. I'm so blessed and so happy that they invited me to this, because it was honestly one of the best things that I was a part of in terms of a Call of Duty conference roundtable type thing. Usually it's you go to the studio, pre-pandemic times obviously, but you would go to the studio and you would play the game. They tell you a little bit about what's going on with that DLC or that season, and then you would go home and work on content. And this was totally different, where it was just all of us in a Zoom call, and the devs had a presentation and they talked, and then they literally talked to us about questions that we had. We asked them questions. They were very open and transparent with us for another hour and a half after that. It could have kept going longer, and it was very productive, I think, in my opinion. And it was just nice to see the faces who make Call of Duty being accountable with what's going on with their game, the state that Warzone was in when it launched, talking about their plans for Warzone 2, their plans for Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, because they do have they just kind of tease stuff. They didn't really go into details, but I just thought it was really cool and it was a really awesome experience. And I hope that we do more like those in the future. I honestly kind of wish that they had something like that just publicly available, where they sit down and they talk to people in the community and they explain questions that maybe people have, because they were very personable, they were very humorous, they were very funny, they gave us insight, they gave us their thought process on decisions that were made for the game, some of them that were decisions they regret, other decisions that they were just kind of sticking with. It was just kind of nice to see all the ideas, what the thought process goes into it, what their analytics are like. It was a lot, which is actually really cool. So I want to talk about some of them. They were mentioned here by Charlie Intel, and then if I remember things from the call specifically that I want to mention, we'll also talk about it. But for now, they were in the call as well, and so they did a really good job recapping everything. So with that said, let's jump into it. If you guys enjoyed the video, drop a like. If you're new, make sure to subscribe with notifications on so you don't miss a single upload. And if you want to support the channel directly, you can do so by checking out my sponsors, Control Freak, Aim Controller. I use them every single time that I play. Code OGXRAYZ gets you a discount, link down below to that, or through my Amazon influencer page if you guys would much rather do it that way. Like I said, guys, I love my aim controllers. I love my Control Freaks. Right now, there's actually a 30% off deal going on with Control Freak. Use code OGXRAYZ to get a discount over there, and the aim controller, 10% off all your orders. So with that said, let's jump into it. There was a lot of stuff here. All right, so the first one is going to be the Warzone devs confirm plans to add ranked play to the game. So this one was interesting. They did talk about this, and it was asked actually by one of the content creators or influencers who was there. They said, well, are you guys looking into basically ranked play? Is this something you guys have thought about? They then mentioned a little bit about like the Iron Trials and stuff like that, because a lot of people seem to have been enjoying the Iron Trials. And so they did say that they are looking into it, but that it is a lot of work that goes into it. And then they were like explaining how even to just change the UI in the menu, it takes an entire team of people to, you know, you do this part, you do this part, when you have time, do this part. And it's just, they're working on so many things. And they also mentioned like they're working on Warzone, they're working on bugs for Warzone, they're working on the next Call of Duty, they're working on Warzone 2, which was also confirmed as well. And so because they have just so much going on at any given time, it's like whenever they have a chance they work on it. But they did confirm that they are working on a ranked play, that they have plans for it to come in the future to Warzone, and I think a lot of people are going to be excited for that. So hopefully it does come in the near future. But again, they said it's just a lot of moving parts, and it's just hard, especially even now with people working remotely and basically just being like in Zoom calls to try to piece stuff together. All right, let's talk about the next one. Warzone quality of life updates in Warzone. There was actually a lot that they did have a list of stuff that they showed us in their presentation. But the big ones here, there was just these guys right here: traversal improvements, increased mantle height and collision, fixes gas mask, so now the animation won't interrupt the player who is aiming down sights. They did actually mention a little bit about that, which was actually kind of interesting. They said that they always did intend to have the mask animation interrupt you when you're trying to shoot, and the reason was because they wanted people to kind of have that in their head. They wanted to have realistic. If you are playing, chances are that trying to remove a mask in real life is going to affect your ability to shoot. And so they said that at first that this was a big debate that they had, like, is it something that we should remove, should we not remove? And so it was just kind of one of those decisions where they were like, well, there needs to be some kind of penalty so you can, you're safe, obviously, but then you're gonna have that kind of crutch or that drawback where it's going to be affecting your ability to shoot. So it looks like that will be fixed, but they did talk a little bit about that. So I thought that was interesting. The next one was the armor plates. Now they refill full plate of armors before filling damage plates. So basically what their this was actually, like I said, it was so interesting to see their thought process behind all of this, because it makes you think of like, oh, well, that's why they did that. And obviously we always only get one side of it. We're like, well, that's dumb. How come if I have like half of my armor, like I have 1.5, why when I try to put a new one in there, it just does 2? So instead of going from 1.5 to 2.5 when you put it on a new armor plate, why does it go to 2 instead? And the reason they said that they were doing it that way before, and again, this is now different. Now it's like if you put an armor plate, it just adds 1 on top of whatever you have. So if you're like at 1.75, it'll bump you up to 2.75. Whereas before it would just bump you up to 2. So they said the reason that they had it different before was because, again, they were trying to go for realism, and chances are if you have an armor plate on and it's damaged, well, you're just going to remove that old one and you're going to put in a new one. So instead of going from 1.75 and then adding 0.25, it's like, hey, I'm going to get rid of this old one, I'm down to 1, I put in the new one, and that's why I'm back up to 2. So again, this was like their idea behind realism, and it's like, well, if you're replacing a beat up one with a new one, and that was the reason why it was like that before. But now, like they said, they saw a lot of people who just wanted change, and they were like, okay, well, we'll do it now. And so now they are having it where it's like it fills it up, another extra one, as opposed to like remove it and put a new one in. So that's kind of their thing. And also they said that a lot of this was also because when they first had a Warzone out, that armor plates were not really available all the time, and so that's why they also just kind of made it so it's like you really want to take advantage of this, make it more tactical. Now it's available all the time, so really there's no point in trying to put all these restrictions. The next one, vehicle handling and reduction of collisions of world geometry. That's good stuff. Restrictions, dead silence, and stunner grenades removed from Vanguard Royale. Stunned fix. Aim assist now skills appropriately won't increase aim assist strength. Nerfs, fighter planes and gasoline canisters. Buffs, anti-air cannon, and then final circle, less likely to end on peak. So they talked about all of that. They actually also talked about their ideas and thought process behind points of interest and what they do to try to make it so more people go to this side of the map. And they said they have like a heat map that tells them where people drop, where the action is, and so they use that to kind of define, well, people are going up here, we'll maybe put an event that happens over there, and people will naturally go over there. So we'll see what happens. They also talked about a mode that they thought about. I don't know how much I can divulge from stuff that they were talking about, so I'm just gonna kind of stick to what I'm seeing Charlie Intel post. But they talked about a mode that I thought was really, really interesting. Maybe we'll see it in the future. Everyone who was in that call was like, yes, you need to do that mode. Well, it was like an idea for a mechanic. Then people were like, you should make it that into its own mode, as opposed to just putting it as a mechanic in the game. So I thought it was really cool. And if we're allowed to talk about it, we'll talk about it in the future. I'll follow up and see if we're allowed to talk about that. But I thought it was a pretty neat idea. So there was other stuff here. Down, able to control resurrect state, prone versus crouch. So now when you are downed, you can decide what position you come back to after you are revived, whether you want to stay crouched or you want to be prone. So you can choose gas mask, ability to drop that before you couldn't, armor, pick up another armor satchel, performance and streaming issues, including buy station freezes, voice chat connectivity, distorted graphics across all platforms. So it looks like they're fixing that. Specific operator skins being invisible at a certain distance. So that was another one they talked about. They were like, someone asked them like, why did it take so long for you guys to fix this issue, and they said that it was because of priorities. They were like, is it something that is at the top of the list because, you know, they're working on a million things and other bugs, and it's like they have one skin that for a fraction of a second goes invisible at a certain distance. They were like, listen, there's other stuff that takes priority that we needed to work on and get fixed. And so now they were able to kind of have enough time, especially with the delay of season 2, to really get and fix those issues. So that's kind of interesting stuff. Modern Warfare blockage to Modern Warfare's multiplayer, which is tied to Warzone's launcher. So it looks like they fixed issues there with Modern Warfare, which I thought was also pretty cool. The other thing they mentioned was aim assist. And we'll see what happens with that. But some of the competitive players that were in the call were saying that aim assist on controllers up close is just too strong. And so they said that a lot of them who play on PC, who prefer to play on mouse and keyboard, that whenever they play with people and they're at a close distance, that they never have a chance because the aim assist is just so strong for controllers up close. And so they said they were going to look into that and see if that's something maybe they can tweak or fix. But that's another one that I wasn't even aware. But apparently that's an issue for pro Call of Duty players who are, there's only a few of them who actually play mouse and keyboard because of that reason. If you're not using a controller, you're at a disadvantage. So they also talked about how, you know, kind of bring up the revive. Someone brought up that is there a way to do custom key bindings in the future where maybe, you know, you decide if you can revive someone or you choose to reload as 2 different keys, because sometimes you're in like the final circle and you're trying to reload your weapon and you're like right next to your teammate who's down and you're just trying to reload your weapon, and instead it cuts to the animation of you trying to revive him. And so he was like, you know, if there's a way to get separate key binds, that'd be pretty awesome. So this was the cool thing about this kind of asking questions, giving feedback thing, because now that's something that, you know, will go into their mind, that they'll go, hey, maybe it's something that we can work on. There was a lot of stuff that we talked about, streamer mode that we're talking about, you know, fixes to that. It was just a lot. So let's go ahead and check to see if there what other article was there. So let's see. Warzone devs admit that the game is broken and promise to fix it. So they said they were incredibly embarrassed with what was going on with Caldera, with the launch. And they said that the reason that this is happening is because they expected, or they had a lot of unexpected issues when they started integrating Warzone into other games. So when they made Warzone, they made it specifically with Modern Warfare in mind, and then Call of Duty was like, you know what, let's make that so that every other Call of Duty that comes out also is integrated. And so it was kind of hard for them to try to mix their engine, that they had their custom engine, with Black Ops Cold War and now with Caldera, which is something completely different. And he was like, when Black Ops Cold War came out and you were playing Warzone with that, it didn't feel like Modern Warfare and it didn't feel like Black Ops Cold War. It was some kind of weird mixture of the two. And so because of that, you know, trying to integrate other Call of Duties into it, it just made it harder and harder to you know, get the game up and running and not have a ton of issues and try to implement stuff. And so they're working on it. Have some patience with them, obviously. And, you know, again, I can agree with them that having to put so many Call of Duties integrated into it, it's kind of weird. I always thought too, when we were like, oh, Black Ops Cold War is going to be on it, we're like, they're different edges, they look aesthetically different, the movement is completely different. So it's just a learning process for them and something that they were just kind of thrown into and thrust into, which again, they said they were not making excuses, that they were embarrassed the state it came in and that they're fixing it and they owned up to it. But, you know, there's a lot of stuff that goes on that even I was like, oh, I didn't think about that. So pretty cool stuff. The next one, Warzone 2 and Modern Warfare 2 were officially also confirmed, and they did show us the bullet points. There was a logo that was shown off to us. So Modern Warfare 2, Warzone 2, they're coming. So within that conversation, we actually talked about field of view slider, and they straight up told us, they were like, it's not possible or highly unlikely that there will ever be a field of view slider on Warzone on consoles, because it drops the frame rate significantly and it's just not possible for it to run on consoles. Now, if they did have a PS5 version of the app, I'm sure that maybe they would be able to do something about it because of the PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X having more horsepower, more power. But the biggest pool base, they told us, is people who are still on PS4, and it's like they can't just abandon everything and go PS5 only and have that difference there, and then have some people with field of view, other people not. Obviously PC players are like that, but PC's different obviously than console. So I don't think we're going to be seeing field of view in Warzone until Warzone 2, so we'll see what happens with that. But that's kind of a rough draft of what we were talking about. There was a lot of stuff. I recorded the audio to take notes, so I'm gonna go through the audio again, and if I notice more stuff or little tidbits of stuff, I will definitely be tweeting out about it. So follow me on Twitter at OGXRAYZ. I'm gonna have more stuff over there. I'm not gonna release the audio because they told us we could only record audio for note-taking purposes, so I'm not going to release any audio from the call because I don't want to get in trouble. But I'm going to go through it again. If there's other stuff that I thought was interesting, then we'll toss it in there, obviously. So thank you guys so much for watching. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, drop a like. If you're new, make sure to subscribe with notifications on so you don't miss a single upload. And if you guys want to support the channel directly, you can do so by checking out my sponsors, Control Freak, Aim Controller. I use them every time I play. Code OGXRAYZ gets you a discount, link down below to that, or through my Amazon influencer page if you guys would much rather do it that way. Go ahead and give me a follow over on Twitter at OGXRAYZ if you guys want to talk, interact, see what I'm up to, or if you just want to say hey. And again, like I said, I'm going to be tweeting stuff from that roundtable that we had over there, so give me a follow over there. But anyways, you guys have an awesome day. I'll see you guys next time. I'm out. Peace.